Hello, welcome to my channel. We are going to do a series production of rendering this building that I have designed in Revit 2022. I am going to render this building in 3ds Max and will be using the Vray plugin version. So within this house, we'll be focusing at this view, this part of the house for the render. So we'll do two exterior renders, and then we'll also do 2 interior renders. So in order for me to link this with 3ds Max, the issue is that I have Revit 2022, but on 3ds Max I'm still using 2020. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to File, Export, and then I'll choose FBX. Once that's complete, I'm going to go to 3ds Max, File, Import, Link FBX. I'm going to select the FBX file and open. When we get this, this is the file. This is the location where the file is stored at. The file will load here once it's done, and these are the presets to show that it's created from Revit. So I'm going to attach this file, and we're going to get this message here. It says you are creating a daylight system. It is recommended that you use physical camera. If I select OK, it means that it's going to bring Revit's properties into 3ds Max. I always say yes, and from there the project comes. We're going to close this. Now in 3ds Max we have 4 views by default, which is the elevation, the front elevation. This is the top view, this is the left view, and this is the 3D. What I want to do is to only see this window for now, for the 3D. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bottom right, and I'm going to select that. The daylight properties that we have received from Revit is this star. This star is basically the same north, east, south, and west components that we got from Revit, which is a compass. So anything that you select, it shows here, it highlights what you have selected, which is the sun and sky from Revit. So what I do is I'm going to select it and delete it, and this is the sun coming from Revit. I will delete it as well. This is the normal 3D view that we see from Revit. I will also delete it, but with the cameras, sometimes in 3D, if you have a lot of 3D views, for example, if you have 20, if you want to get rid of them at the same time, you're gonna right click and say select similar. Yes, we're going to say select similar. What it does then is that it's going to select all the camera views in the project that are coming from Revit, and it will delete them, all of them, so you don't have to delete them one by one. Now we have this model from Revit with all the materials and everything. So it came just exactly as we wanted it. So from here we are going to go to this render setup. We are going to change the render plugin from ART. ART is normal 3ds Max render preset. So for our production we are going to be using Vray Next, and you can buy it online as well. Once we select that, it has changed the scene to Vray, to be rendered with Vray. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to open my material setup, or you can click M. Anything that you hover over, it will show you the shortcut for that thing as well. Usually when you open this, you will see this one. This is the slate material editor. I don't use this because I find it a bit confusing, so I prefer to use this material editor. From here, this is where you are going to edit all your materials for your scene. So the first thing that I like to do before even starting with my render production, I like to go to the internet and start looking for a scene that I would like to achieve with my building. So what I would like to do is have some sort of a quality like this. Although I don't want it to be as dark as this one is, but I would like to start with something like that. So I always like to go to Pinterest and start looking at ideas, and from there I'm going to give you two examples. So if I open this one and this one, we will notice that although they look similar, they are not really the same thing. The first thing is that the sky here, it's almost clear, and on the other one the sky is cloudy. So small little changes like this really matter when coming to your production, because it will make a lot of difference in your scene. So once we have established the type of scene that we want to go with, I am going to create a new material here and call it a material override. Once I have that, I'm going to change the render from standard to Vray. So the Vray scene, you have to scroll down. Under Vray here, we are looking for Vray MTL. We're going to select it and say OK, and then it will change the properties of this material to Vray materials. Once we have that, we're going to make the material just a bit light, because what we want to do is to create a color balance for the 3D render. Once we are okay with that, we're going to select everything, or you can hit Ctrl A to select everything, and we are going to apply this material on the scene. Alternatively, you can drag and drop the material inside, and you can say assign to object or assign to selection. We're going to assign to selection, or you can go back, and once you have everything selected, you can click this button to assign material to selection. So you have two options. Once we do that, everything will take one material like that, and once we have that, we are going to exclude all the glass. So with the glass, once I have renamed this, I am going to go to get material right here, and I will click this toggle right here and open library. I'm going to select this material and open it, and once I do that, all those materials, they come in here. So I'm going to double click on one, and then it will edit that side. I'm going to get rid of this. So that is one way of bringing a material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to glass. For me to know that I have selected glass, either you hover over it like that and wait, or you select, and anything in here that is selected in the lighter gray, you will see that's your selection. I'm going to apply this, And there are a couple of other places where I have glass, such as this, and I'm going to apply. Once I have it, I have all my areas for glass applied, and I'm going to remove this for now. So once I have this, I need to create my camera angle for my money shot, right? Once I have my money shot like that, there's one more thing that I want to show you, so that the building doesn't disappear like that. I'm gonna go back to materials, and here on the material override, if we click on this button and we look for Vray Edge text, that one, and we put it in, and we put the color to, let's say, something like that, and we click OK. It should be drawing lines like that on our material. I'm not sure why it's not updating. In any case, once we have that, or maybe we'll see it once we start rendering, I'm going to remove this, and I want to put two windows. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go to layout and select two windows and hit OK. It will bring in my top view and my front view, so you can change whichever view you want to see here. So here I'm going to go to my camera view. Okay, no, here I will go to 3D view, which is this one. I will put this to default shading, and here we're going to put our camera view. We can't put it yet because we haven't created one yet. I'm going to hit T for top view, and I will hit G to remove the grid lines. Once I have that, I'm going to put this back to wireframe, and I want my camera view to sit here looking there. So I'm going to go to a camera there, and I will leave it at standard. A standard camera is good enough, and I will select physical camera. Once I have that, I will drag and drop. Once you drop, it puts in your camera. I just want to move the target just there. And once I have that, I'm going to come here and go to my camera view. Shortcut for camera view is C. I am then going to change this to shaded view. And now what I want to do is go to elevation like that, and instead of putting the camera this low, this is the ground level, and the camera is sitting just a little bit above the ground level. So I'm going to put it somewhere there. I am okay with that height. I'm going to hit T for top view, and what I want to do is to select the camera alone. So there is a different selection. If you select the line and this toggle comes here, it means that you have selected the entire camera like that. But if you select the camera alone, it means you can just move it like that. So I'm going to let me leave it there just like that. I'm going to select the camera, go to the modify as the camera is selected, and I am okay with the focal point. I'm just going to change the zoom factor a little bit to there, and I will move this like that. So I'm trying to center it in my view. Once I have it like that, we are going to put in sunlight. So if I render this without putting sunlight, it's going to be black like that. So that's not what we want. I'm going to put in sunlight by using the Vray dome light, and you can put it anywhere in your project. You can put it here, you can put it there. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's in the project, it will show. With our Vray dome light selected, we're going to go to modify, and we want to go to options, and we're going to untick the first two, and we're going to make it invisible. Once we have that, we are going to try not to change too much with the light. We want to bring in the light first, see what intensity the light is giving us, and once we have that, we can determine what intensity we want. So the ravage edge text that I was talking about is just these lines here to see your edges for the building. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this, and I'm going to go to the camera and change the exposure light of the camera, because the camera itself, it has an exposure. We can change the exposure of the sun here by typing. We can put it at, we can start with 16 for example, and without changing too many settings, we check again what Vray is giving us. Again, it's too dark. Now what we're going to do is change the intensity of the VRAM dome. I'm going to start with 10. I'm going to remove it. Now we can see that as I'm adjusting the intensity of the camera light and the dome, the light is starting to come up a little bit by bit. So I'm going to put in something called HDRI. HDRI is basically an environment for your render. And we look at these renders that I was showing you. This render has a bright environment. It has dark materials with a bright environment. This one has a dark environment. The environment is cloudy and it has a lot of vegetation in it. You know, there is an environment again, or you can even come here and type HDRI, and it's going to show you different types of HDRIs that you can apply for your project. And you can also download HDRIs for free. So I'm going to go to my folder, and I will select an HDRI that I want to use. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the material editor. We're going to select a different material there, and I will call it HDRI material. Once I have that, I'm going to come here and change this. Actually, you don't go there, you come here and say get material, and under Vray you will notice that you will have Vray HDRI. If I can find it quickly. So you have two toggles for Vray. There, Vray HDRI. Now we're gonna cancel. So the difference is that if you go to another material and you want to make an HDRI, if you click standard and you look for it there, you will not find it. So the only way for you to find it is to go to get material and you will find it there. So once we have put in our HDRI, there is nothing that has been applied. As you can see, our material is black. You can double click there to check the actual physical look of the HDRI. So from there, we are going to go to a bitmap. We're going to put a bitmap. A bitmap is this. This is a bitmap. So according to the HDRI that you have downloaded or selected for your project, you are going to put it under HDRI. It can be an HDRI material or a JPEG or a PNG. So I'm going to go to my folder and look for an HDRI. I can even preview the HDRI. Once we have it open like that, you can see that before you even load it in, you can see what it looks like, and it's even giving you the degree at which it's sitting at. This one is 60, this is 150, 240, and you can notice it right there. So if I choose this one, it will go to a different direction. So I will choose to use this one. Once you select it, you will notice that it gives you this icon there, which is the HDRI that we've selected. Once we have it there, we can change the mapping from 3ds Max standard to spherical because we want it to go around our project. From there, I'm going to go to environment and apply this into our environment. Manually go to rendering, and under environment you will see that the shortcut for environment is 8. So if you hit 8, it will come. So once you have opened environment, we're going to change the environment from Mr. Physical Sky, which is the basic environment that 3ds Max will make for you, into the new environment that we have created. So I will drag this and drop it into here, and I will select instance. Instance means that if I now come back to the material editor and start changing the parameters for this material, it will automatically change on the environment as well. But if I make it a copy, it means that it will be standalone. So I will hit OK. I will close that, and I will select our V-Ray sun, our V-Ray dome, and I will go to texture here, and I will drag this and I will drop it there. Also make it an instance. If I remove this and render, we will get our environment in our render. Now I'm going to remove these black lines so that we can start getting a realistic feel into our render. I'm going to go back to the material editor, and here I will remove the edge text by clearing it, and I can render again, and you'll start seeing the building coming up. Now what I want to do is change the direction of the sunlight, because at the moment the sunlight is coming from that angle going down this way. So we want it to come at the face of the building, and remove the shadows at the front of the building. I'm going to go to material, HDRI, and remember, when we're changing these parameters, it will change on our sun and on the environment. And What I'm gonna do now is on ground projection. Remember when we were selecting the HDRI, I had mentioned that each and every angle that we see here, photo that we see here, has an angle embedded in it. So what you can start doing now is start putting in different angles. So we're gonna change it here, not on the ground projection. So we're going to render, and we start to see that now the shadows are going on a different direction. So for you to start tracking the changes that you are applying to your render, what you can start doing is on the kettle, you're going to select this and draw a region. So this now, it means that if I come here to the material, to the HDRI, and I start typing a different number, if I say 90 and I hit render, it's only going to render that portion of the building. And we can cancel and keep on doing that until we get the angle that we want. This is just for time saving. So now the shadows have moved. So I'm going to cancel this and remove this so that we can see the whole building. So now I need to decrease. So if you want to see more detail of this, you know, when you're zooming in, everything is becoming pixelated. We're gonna go to the render setup, and now we're going to change our paper size from 640 and 880 to HDTV, and I'm going to hit render. Once your test render is done, you are able to start seeing those shadows coming out right there, and you can start working with the interior lighting for your building. If you are okay with the direction the shadows are taking, you can do that. So I'm just going to do lighting for this portion of the building, and on the next tutorial we'll do a full lighting for the entire building. To start doing your lighting, we're gonna go to plan, and on our plan we're going to go to we're going to make a Vray plane light, and we're going to select the portion that we want the lighting to go to. Once we have done that, we're going to right click here, and I just want to have 3 windows showing like that. Now I want this to be my camera, and I want this to be my front view of the building by pressing the shortcut F for front and G to remove the grid lines. So I'm going to select the light path we have created. I will go on the move, and on my elevation I want the light to be this high in my building. Actually, I want it to be this high on my building, and I'm going to go to the modify tab, and again under options I'm going to deselect the 2 the last two, and make this invisible. Again, without changing too many settings, what I'm gonna do, because I want to see the difference in between not having any light at all and having a light, I'm going to put this and I will hit render. Now the reason why it's doing this is because it's rendering at a different viewport, which is this one. So we're going to hit this and go here on the render tab and select render. It should change to that view. Now, without changing any settings from that light that we made, we can start seeing differences in between having no light to having a light. And remember, for our light, we want to start creating such light in our building, light like this in our building. We can even give it a color. So we're going to cancel this and select the light, and now we want to make this a little bit deeper. I'm going to make it double the harshness, and I'm going to give it a color. I'm going to do something like that, and I will hit render. Now we can start seeing that the shade of the color is changing to the settings we have set it to be. Right, I'm going to stop this and just let it render this whole portion. And from there, 3ds Max is putting the light fixture, the light exposure in our building. Just like that. So guys, this is the first step of bringing your project into 3ds Max when you're working with V-Ray. I find that the HDRI we have selected for this is a little bit too harsh, so I will change it, and on the next tutorial we'll start looking at lighting for the entire building, and also how to bring in light fixtures and how to put material on light fixtures. For now, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you on the next one.